Well, hello and welcome back to our recap series. Some of you will remember we had to strip back the sole in the saloon due to water damage, and we found some osmosis, which we ground out and filled and patched, and then put some fresh glass all over the inside of the hull in the saloon. And we also built and installed some new structure to support the new sole. And the new sole is what we're going to be focusing on in this episode because our handy dandy supplies arrived, mainly Nidoplast, this lovely honeycomb material. It's pretty easy to use. You wet it out very thoroughly with the resin of your choice, making sure that the whole thing's very well covered, and then you lay whichever particular type of glass is suitable for the job and you wet that out too. It's really lovely, the finish is solid and it remains quite lightweight, which is perfect for our purposes. And while I was constructing the panels, Wifey battered in some resin to keep the new structure safe and secure. Having cut the new panels to size and gel coated the inside, we then had to deal with some rough bits of glass, which I dealt with by basically putting a whole layer of glass over the top, which was always the plan anyway, just to give it a little bit of reinforcement. The new panels were then resined and tabbed into place so they're nice and secure. And once the saloon was done to our satisfaction, we turned our attention to the forward cabin because we knew that sole had to come up. So, cutter time. To give me a little bit more working room, I decided to remove the starboard side bulkhead for the forward cabin. That done and out the way, I could then focus on removing the rest of the sole along with the dreadful old foam that was underneath. While I could still reach, I decided to grind out the tabbing that had been holding the sole down in the forward cabin so that I'd have a much better chance of being able to measure a panel of the correct size to replace it. That done, it was time to prise up the last remaining section.
Oh, joy of joys.
And then it was time to construct another new Nidoplast panel to go down as the replacement sole in the forward cabin. Meanwhile at home, our cat was catching up with her friend the old sea dog. Once all the foam was cleared from the forward cabin, I discovered some signs of some impact damage. A little bit worrying. Somebody's probably run aground or run over something quite heavy in the water. These things happen, but it does need to be taken care of. So I sanded it back a little bit and had a look under the hull to see what was going on. That's going to need some work at some point in the future, but believe me, I won't forget about it. So I figured the best thing to do would be to grind it back and see just how extensive the damage was and patch it up as best we could. And it turns out it was a strange and ugly scar. But this isn't the first bit of damaged fiberglass that we've patched, so I mixed up some resin and slapped some fresh fiberglass fabric down to reinforce it and make good. At this point we knew we wouldn't be able to get back to the boat for a few weeks, so the idea was to come back towards the end of the year and finish the job off and get the sole panel down. But as I'm sure everybody remembers, at this point the coronavirus epidemic intervened and we were in lockdown for a good few months. I'd just like to take a few moments to thank everybody who donated to our campaign to 3D print some safety visors for healthcare staff around the area where we live. and to reflect and remember on all those that we lost during the pandemic.